Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome back to Emergency Management Associates. My name's Ron Tyler. We want to welcome you to our program today. We're coming to you from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. We appreciate all those who are going to be joining us today on this program, whether you're just listening to it or whether you're watching it live on our program. We appreciate each and every one of you that are here. I would ask everybody right now, before you think of anything else, if you enjoy what we're doing here, if you enjoy our programs, please give us a thumbs up. That way you're letting YouTube know that this program is valuable to you and your families. With that, also make sure you're subscribed to our program. If you like what we're doing, subscribe to our program. When you subscribe to our program, there's a subscription button you can click on. Right next to that subscription button, there is another button. It is just a small, tiny bell icon. Click on that bell icon. When you click on that bell icon, a drop-down menu of 3 items is going to come up. Click on the word ALL. That should get you notified of when we come on the air. But be advised, YouTube does not always notify everybody when we come on the air. They don't want to, because they don't want anybody to know what we're doing here. YouTube doesn't like me. YouTube doesn't like us talking about earthquakes. YouTube doesn't like us talking about things that are very pertinent to people's lives. Things that people might need to save their lives. We talk about emergencies. We talk about disasters. All kinds of emergencies, whether they be hurricanes, whether they be tornadoes, whether they be heavy snow or heavy rain or flooding, fires, railroad accidents. We talk about shootings. We talk about explosions at factories and oil refineries. All kinds of things are going on. We do that because you need to know what's going on, number one. And two, we talk about how we prepare for those emergencies. On Fridays, we talk about emergency preparedness. And lately, we have not had a lot of people that want to stick around on Fridays. We urge you all to stick around for every day of our program, Monday through Friday. Come on the air sometime after 4 p.m. Eastern Time on the East Coast. Okay, Eastern Time on the East Coast. Now, the first thing I want to do, okay, I'm not going to talk about Hurricane Erin immediately, but there's something I need to talk about. I would hope that you guys would stay with me on this. Last night, just after 7 p.m., there was a shooting, a police officer involved shooting north of Salt Lake City in a town called Tremont. Tremont has about 21 police officers, so 2 of them were shot and 1 other killed. Watch these 2 news releases here. You need to see this.
If you're just now tuning in, I'm Gina Francina. Right now, we do want to transition to your crime headlines as we are following some breaking news out of Utah. Take a look at your screen. The latest scene footage, courtesy of our content partners over at Fox News. Fox 13 Utah reporting that 1 person is in police custody this morning after shooting at officers in Tremont. They go on to report that the Tremont and Garland police officers responded to the area of 700 North and 200 East near North Park Elementary School. In a press release this Monday morning, the Brigham City Police Department, which is handling the public information for this incident, they said the suspect shot at officers. Officials not yet confirming whether the officers were hit by the suspect's gunfire. Early this Monday, the public information officer for the Brigham Police Department providing an update for us. I want to play that for you now.
Detective Crystal Beck with the Brigham City Police Department, CRYSTALBECK. So on August 18th, earlier today, Tremont and Garland officers responded to a disturbance call. Upon arrival, they immediately began taking fire. They requested additional units and then stopped answering their radio. Once additional units arrived, they were able to locate the subject of the shooting and take him into custody. Multiple agencies from Box Elder, Weber, and Cache counties responded to assist. As of right now, there is no current threat to the public. I do believe that there still is a shelter in place for the area of 700 North and 200 East. We are also asking the public to stay clear of the area.
Okay. I'm going to stop her there because she's going to appear on this next video. She's a detective with the Brigham City Police Department. Now, Brigham City does not patrol Tremont, okay? But they are a nearby agency. Other agencies were here providing support for the Tremont and Garland Police Department, okay? But I'm going to stop it here and let them tell you about what happened last night. This is the Tremont Garden, or not the Tremont. This is the Brigham City Police Chief. You see the detective, Crystal Beck, also with him.
Perfect. Okay.
Let me know if I can stay out of the way for you guys.
That's everybody?
Where should I stand?
There.
So, good morning. My name's Chad Reyes. I'm the Chief of Police with Brigham City Police Department, and I'm here on behalf of Chief Dustin Cordova and Sheriff Kevin Potter. They've asked me to give the media an update because they need to spend some time with their departments, as I'm sure you can understand. On August 17th at 21:02 hours, so 9:02 p.m., the Box Elder Communications Center received multiple 911 hangups from an address near 700 North, 200 East in Tremont, Utah.
I'm going to teach you a simple trick my husband does to stay hard for over.
Sorry about that. Hold on.
An officer from the Tremont and Garland Police Department responded and began speaking with an occupant of the home who was reporting an apparent domestic disturbance, at which time a male emerged from the residence with a firearm. The male opened fire on the officer, striking and killing the officer. A second officer with Tremont and Garland Police Department responded to assist the first and was immediately fired upon by the same male suspect. The second officer was also struck and killed by the suspect's gunfire. A third officer deputy from the Box Elder County Sheriff's Office had also been dispatched to assist, and as they arrived in the area, the suspect fired several rounds into the deputy's vehicle, striking the deputy and the deputy's police service dog. After being hit by gunfire, the deputy and police service dog remained in their vehicle and were subsequently evacuated to an area hospital and specialty veterinary clinic where they received medical treatment. Both are recovering and in fair condition now. After firing upon these officers and police service dog, the suspect was convinced to put down his weapon by bystanders, and he was immediately taken into custody by additional responding officers. Due to the level of violence and lack of information precipitating this incident, SWAT teams responded to clear the home and verify no continued threat remained. The suspect was booked into the Box Elder County Jail on charges of aggravated murder. Weber County Attorney's Office is coordinating the ongoing homicide investigation. Tragedies like these rock the entire community, state, and even nation. These officers and their families served their community every day and will forever be remembered as heroes. Our thoughts and prayers are with the Tremont and Garland Police Department, Box Elder County Sheriff's Office, and the family of those involved. We're grateful for the swift response from multiple agencies from Box Elder, Weber, and Cache counties. And I'll answer any questions.
Hard not to notice the emotions as you're reading through that. And how are your officers, and more importantly, the Tremont and Garland officers, handling all this right now?
As you can imagine, like I said, it rocks an entire community, especially the police department. As I mentioned at the beginning of this, Chief Cordova asked me to be here so he could be with his department and his family and take care of their needs as much as one can in a situation like this.
Can you identify the names of the officers who were killed?
We're not ready to do that just yet.
What about the shooter?
He's been booked into jail, but we're not releasing his identity yet either. We're kind of coordinating with Weber County Attorney's Office, and also Chief Cordova has expressed his desire to come out and give a statement. He's just not ready to do that yet, and so I'm just kind of giving as vague but as much information as I can until he's ready to give more.
And I know they were responding to an apparent domestic disturbance, but are you able to provide any more details on what exactly led up to the shooting?
Just that we received multiple 911 calls to that address, and when we responded, we were talking to one occupant who was giving us information that led us to believe that there was a precipitating domestic, but nothing more than that.
What do you know about the bystanders? Were they neighbors?
We believe so, yes. We're still in the process of interviewing those people.
Does the suspect have a violent background?
I am unaware of what his background is.
Is he an adult male?
An adult male, yes.
JP, you got to talk about how this affects. I mean, obviously this would affect any police department incredibly. I mean, this is also a very small community and a small department. It's 21 officers in this department.
Right. Yeah, I mean, as I mentioned in the press release, you know, having 2 officers killed in the line of duty and another and their dog injured is an event that really rocks an entire nation. You know, luckily in this area and really in this state, police departments have the support of the public for the most part, and it's just a tragedy. It affects the entire state, but most importantly, you know, the Tremont and Garland Police Department. That's why we're here trying to do what we can to assist them.
Did they die on scene?
Yes.
Is there any more you can say about how the deputy and the deputy's police service dog are doing at this time?
Yes, they're both in fair condition, and the deputy's actually been released from the hospital, and the police service dog will remain at the veterinary clinic just as a precaution for the night.
But expected to survive?
Yes.
Do we know if the shooter lived at the home as well?
Yes, he did. We believe so.
We know these domestic violence calls can be so volatile. What can you tell us about these types of calls?
They really are unknown. We don't know what we're walking into, and they are one of the most dangerous events we can be dispatched on. And like I said, these officers
and we're sure this is.
They took an oath to protect and serve their communities, and that's what they were doing, and they knew the dangers going into this, and unfortunately they paid the ultimate price.
Can you tell us how long they served?
I don't know the exact answer to that.
And can you tell us, this, like we were talking about, this community is pretty tight and it is small. So something like this, what should people do to kind of get through the day? Anything that the community should do to support each other? Anything they should know at all?
I think some of you were here when some of the council members and the mayor were bringing around, breakfast for the officers and just trying to be supportive. I think that kind of outpouring of support from the community is welcome too, but we do ask that community stay away from the area until we're done with the investigation and processing the scene thoroughly.
Do we know his relationship with the other person who answered the door?
I don't know that we're ready to release that information yet, but we do. We have an idea of what the relationship was.
And do we know if the person who answered the door was a man or a woman?
I don't know that we're ready to release that information yet either. They lived in the same home.
Are you able to say what type of firearm was used?
I can't yet.
Can you tell us more about the witnesses who were in the area and convinced the suspect to put his weapon down?
We believe they were neighbors, and as I mentioned, we're still trying to locate and identify and interview all of the bystanders and witnesses that were in the area. We're not confident that we've contacted all of them yet, so I don't know that I can comment much more, but we do believe that they were neighbors.
But it seems like that was a very volatile situation for them as well, and potentially life-threatening.
Right, correct, yeah.
What does it say to you that people who were just standing by as bystanders were able to convince the shooter to put down his gun?
I think that we've talked a little bit about community and the tight-knit group here. I think those acquaintances and relationships probably played a key role into that, into getting him to put down his weapons and surrender.
And do you know an age range of the suspects?
I don't. Do you know an age range?
did not get an age range at all.
I'm sorry, I don't know that. I just know an adult male, over 20 at least. So
it seems like a lot of agencies from around the area are coming together here. Tell us about your relationships between these various agencies.
Yeah, so Box Elder County the entire county is a pretty tight-knit community, and we all share the same dispatch and CAD system, and so when an incident like this occurs, it's all hands on deck and try to support our sister agencies and brother agencies as much as we can.
Do you have any idea how many officers from those agencies as a total responded?
I can't say an exact number, but I'll say that we had even officers, as the press release mentions, from Cache County, Logan City, Weber, Ogden. I would estimate there were probably upwards of 40 to 50 officers here.
And do we know what's going on right now on the scene as far as what's happening here at the investigation?
So we're in the process of processing the scene, which includes obtaining search warrants and diagramming, processing forensics, everything else that goes into a case like this, and we'll probably be here for several more hours.
Is this road closed?
Sorry. Did you say anything about the procession earlier today? You were kind of following up, or are you on cameras?
Yeah, so that is customary. As I mentioned, these officers are definitely heroes, and we want to afford them that respect. And so that's a tradition that law enforcement has, to honor those that pay this type of price. And so a lot of agencies from around the state have assisted us in doing that.
Have the search warrants been obtained to go in the home at this point?
I can't speak to that because I don't know the answer. But I know that they've been applied for, yes.
Do you know if the first officer responded by themselves, or were they with a partner at that point?
The first officer arrived here alone, shortly followed by the second. Any other questions? I appreciate you guys being out here.
Is this road going to be closed for a while?
We're actually going to condense the crime scene down one more block, but that'll be closed for, as I mentioned, several hours today still.
And we were talking a little bit earlier about how many times, an officer-involved shooting has happened in this area. Is it something that you guys have seen before, or is it the first one that's kind of rocking this area?
I'm not aware of any other officer-involved shootings that resulted in this kind of injury to law enforcement that have occurred in Box Elder County recently. I believe this is one of the first, and Detective Beck might be able to speak better to that.
I think that the Box Elder County Sheriff's Office had an officer-involved shooting in 2012 or 2013, but the officer was not injured.
Anything else you'd like to add, Chief?
No, I appreciate the community support that Tremont and Garland has received and that law enforcement receives, and I thank you guys for being out here too.
Okay, that's the end of the report. Guys, this has been hard for those officers on the scene. That police chief is obviously emotional. The police chief of the Garland, Tremont, and Department, he himself was overcome with grief, was not able to give the briefing to the local media. And as a result, the Brigham City police chief, which is a town further south from Tremont, did the briefing. And they did a bang-up job. Guys, I will admit this. I know at least one of these officers. I lived in southern Salt Lake City County, which is about 45 minutes south of Tremont. I know quite a few people live in Tremont, as well as cops. I was overcome myself. This is a hard thing to take. Whenever any police officer is injured, no matter what it is, it brings great grief upon me as well. I hate to even talk about this. I really hate to even talk about this. It hurts. And for me, possibly knowing at least one of these officers hurts even more. Well, we had to bring this to you. We do talk about police officer shootings. We talk about arrests of everybody all around this country and around the world. We talk about that because it is a family type of emergency. That's why we even bring it up. In this case, a whole neighborhood talked the gunman to surrender his weapon. The neighborhood talked the gunman into surrendering his weapon. Or we would have had more of a catastrophe and even possibly the gunman going to be shot. Fortunately, he's going to still be alive to be prosecuted. The gunman is being charged with premeditated murder. 2 counts of premeditated murder and premeditated assault with a deadly weapon, with 2 other officers, which includes a canine. It's a very sad day in Salt Lake City. It's a very sad day in Utah. And it's a very sad day throughout this country. I'll be quite honest with you. It's a very sad day. But we have to get on with it. Guys, I noticed one of our own here in a chat put up all caps in the chat. Please don't do that. YouTube looks at all cap letters in a message as you yelling. Please don't do that. You could have a YouTube moderator take you down and not be allowed to be here. In the past 6.5 years that we've been on the air, over 6.5 years we've been on the air, I've seen Google moderators in our chat twice. Google moderators. Google YouTube is one company. I don't want to lose anybody here. So please, it's okay to use a capital letter at the beginning of a sentence, but please limit that to that. Okay? I don't want anybody to get kicked off this program. Okay? Now, I also want to talk about Hurricane Erin. Hurricane Erin was upgraded to a Category 4 hurricane today. Let's talk about that right now. I'm going to bring in Fox Weather meteorologist here to talk about it. He's an expert on hurricanes.
Having seen Erin reach that peak intensity of 160 miles an hour, it's wild to see that Erin still has a little bit of an opportunity, maybe later today, according to this newest advisory, right, to strengthen some more.
Yeah, and this is a completely different storm than the one that reached 160 miles an hour. That was a small, compact hurricane. This one is spreading out. It's more than double the size of that one, and it's going to end up being something in the 3 to 4 times the size of that 160 mile an hour hurricane before this is done. The most notable stat here, I think, in spite of the fact that it has increased in wind speed a little bit, is this slow movement. It's in the curve starting to move north, so it's losing the influence of the high pressure that was sending it to the west, and now it's being picked up by the dip in the jet stream that is going to get picked up and then will be accelerating to the north. So right now it's in between those and moving slowly. The pressure is down to 935 millibars. Now when you look at the satellite picture, it looks kind of disrupted in here. You don't see that nice clear eye. Let's look close up and see what's going on there. And we see a couple things. First of all, we see that the system is kind of jogging around, which it always does when it's in sort of a slightly disrupted process. What's happening here, the eye actually hasn't shrunk. The eye is 35 miles or so across, but some clouds are blowing over top of it. So when you look at it on the satellite, you think, oh, it's another pinhole eye developing. No, that's not happening. There are actually some hostile upper level winds. I say hostile, except that they're not really impacting the storm. The storm is so strong it's pushing back on them, but it is.
Okay, I want to pause there. There was an eye wall change during the night last night. Okay, this is typical with what we saw. Over the weekend, Hurricane Erin started out as a tropical storm on Friday. Overnight into Saturday, it became a Category 5 hurricane at 160 miles per hour. Between Saturday and Sunday, there was an eye wall change. That change of the eye wall occurred and the size of the hurricane diminished. Okay? Still was a very large storm, but the size of it diminished with the eye wall change. Then, at that point in time, the winds decreased to Category 3 storm. Now today, it's picked up to a Category 4 storm.
Enough to kind of cloud up the eye a little bit, but the eye is still a good size eye. We'll see if it shrinks as we go through the day. Now, when we look at the islands and we look at this enhanced picture, we can kind of see those upper level winds. Look at this. See how it's kind of flat here? That's upper level winds pushing in this way, pushing some dry air against the storm, but the storm is pushing back and has enough oomph of its own that it's not going to be affected by that. Here we can see these bands on the enhanced satellite picture there affecting the Turks and Caicos here and the southeastern Bahamas. The National Hurricane Center actually analyzes that and says this is how big tropical storm force winds, 40 mile per hour winds or higher, are extending out from the storm. And there you see just brushing the Turks and Caicos right now, and that's why they have the tropical storm warnings in effect for the southern part of the Bahamian chain, and then they have watches in effect for the possibility of those 40 mile per hour or higher winds. Watch as we go forward in time. You see the Hurricane Center thinking still a little strengthening in this thing today as it begins to lift away slowly from the Bahamas as it begins to get picked up by that dip in the jet stream. Some weakening but expanding of the tropical storm force winds. There's what the full cone looks like, and you look at that and you say, okay, looks like it's going to affect down here now and then up here. And yes, that's going to happen, except that as this expands out, like right now, it's putting strong kind of push of water against the Florida coast, north of Palm Beach County, and a high rip current risk already today with this storm in the Bahamas, and that's just going to move on up the coast. Also, a high risk, by the way, up here on the Jersey Shore, because we're generally getting a push that way. This is all going to get enhanced as we go through the week, obviously. So let's take it one step at a time. Here we are today. There's where the tropical storm force winds are, obviously pushing water this way toward the coast, but the big push is yet to come. Let's go forward in time, and here we see the storm is weakening, and it may just brush here, eastern North Carolina. If the storm, this is counting on the storm tracking right in here. Suppose it tracks over here, it's going to push all this into eastern North Carolina. So just
okay, I want to pause there again. North Carolina is under emergency evacuation orders. Cape Hatteras is a barrier island offshore from the mainland, North Carolina. Mainland and the barrier islands have been evacuated right now. This storm is fast moving. Between now and Tuesday night, this storm is going to reach up here to South Carolina and North Carolina. Now, we may not see 60, 70, 80, 100 mile per hour winds, but it's possible. It is possible. We may also see high seas, meaning 6 to 12 foot breakers. 6 to 12 foot breakers, and those breakers are going to completely engulf Cape Hatteras and the barrier islands. Now, the barrier islands of Florida have also been evacuated. Some of the barrier islands over in South Carolina have also been evacuated. Okay, there is a state of emergency that has been declared here in North Carolina.
Keep that in your mind. May get a tropical storm watch for that possibility, depending on how the models come out this afternoon, and see if they stay right on track. How confident are we in this? Yes, we're very confident, because all of the models, including the AI models, you see Google is blue and the European Center's AI is green, and these are all the European and GFS models. Notice they're all down the chute there between North Carolina and Bermuda. So we have high confidence about that. But this is the big deal here. The big deal is the energy in the water this huge circulation will put in the water.
Okay, look at that. Look at the outer bands of this hurricane. Look at the outer bands of the hurricane. The outer bands stretch out 100 miles from the eye of the storm. Okay? The winds of this storm stretch out 100 miles out from the storm. Even if the storm is 100 to 150 miles out, the center of the storm is 750 miles out. The outer winds here are going to hit the shoreline. The upper level low here is going to terribly put waves up to 12 feet high along the shoreline. They're going to talk about this. This is going to be very deadly. Again, I said this before yesterday, I said it Saturday, and I said it Friday. Do not get in the water, stay out of the water.
I like to use the analogy in a bathtub. If you take your hand and you push the water, you move a certain amount of water. If you take your whole arm and you push the water, you move a tremendous amount of water, and you push the water right out of the bathtub. So this is the same thing. As the storm grows, it's pushing a lot more water. So here we are now in the morning on Tuesday, morning hours, and look at there's where the core of the energy is, and it's radiating from there toward the coast. So on Tuesday is when it's going to start to pick up. Watch as we go forward in time. Here we are Tuesday evening. Now we're really pushing it here, and we're pushing flow in toward Cape Hatteras. By the way, on Cape Hatteras, at the north end of Hatteras Island, there's a bridge called the New Inlet Bridge. Well, it's the new inlet because when these things happen, sometimes you create new inlets there and on the Cape and in other barrier islands. Okay, let's go forward in time some more. Look at the whites pushing toward the coast. This is Wednesday morning. Now we're really getting serious push of water all the way from the Florida coast up to Cape Hatteras. We're getting a push north of Cape Hatteras, but not the max yet. Let's go now farther. Wednesday evening. Now we're really getting the push. This is midnight and pushing on north of the Cape, but against Hatteras Island. This is why evacuations are ordered there, because odds are high this is going to get cut off, Highway 12 getting cut off. And then we go to Thursday, and this is Thursday evening. Now we're talking about southern New England all the way down Long Island, Jersey Shore, Delmarva, all the way down to the tidewater in the northern end of the Cape, and still some pressure on down here on the south of Cape Hatteras. But Thursday is going to be mostly north. And then Friday, it's finally going to let up, but there's still tremendous energy in the water. So these are the high tide cycles that you're going to be looking for, the biggest effects all along that coast, including on Fire Island and Long Island and the Hamptons and all the way out to Montauk and Cape Cod as well. Everybody is going to feel this. It's going to be dangerous along the beaches this week.
Okay? Everyone's going to feel this, guys, up and down the entire east coast of the United States and even into Canada. Notice these winds. Notice the waves here on the shoreline. Everybody's going to see the waves anywhere from 6 to 12 feet high. You're also going to see 40 to 50 mile per hour winds. That's going to be had.
This week we'll be talking a lot more about that. All right, guys, back to you.
Okay. I'm going to continue with another news broadcast about Hurricane Erin, so you can get the up-to-the-minute information about what's actually happening. Just a second here. There we go, right here.
But let's begin with Fox Weather Hurricane Specialist Brian Norcross with that analysis. So, Brian, having seen Erin reach that peak intensity of 160 miles an hour, it's wild to see that Erin still has a little bit of an opportunity, maybe later today, according to this newest advisory, right, to strengthen some more.
Yeah, and this is a completely different storm than the one that reached 160 miles an hour. That was a small, compact hurricane. This one is spreading out. It's more than double the size of that one, and it's going to end up being something in the 3 to 4 times the size of that 160 mile an hour hurricane before this is done. The most notable stat here, I think, in spite of the fact that it has increased in wind speed a little bit, is this slow movement. It's in the curve starting to move north, so it's losing the influence of the high pressure that was sending it to the west, and now it's being picked up by the dip in the jet stream that is going to get picked up and then will be accelerating to the north. So right now it's in between those and moving slowly. The pressure is down to 935 millibars. Now when you look at the satellite picture, it looks kind of disrupted in here. You don't see that nice clear eye. Let's look close up and see what's going on there. And we see a couple things. First of all, we see that the system is kind of jogging around, which it always does when it's in sort of a slightly disrupted process. What's happening here, the eye actually hasn't shrunk. The eye is 35 miles or so across, but some clouds are blowing over top of it. So when you look at it on the satellite, you think, oh, is another pinhole eye developing? No, that's not happening. There are actually some hostile upper level winds. I say hostile, except that they're not really impacting the storm. The storm is so strong it's pushing back on them, but it is enough to kind of cloud up the eye a little bit. But the eye is still a good size eye. We'll see if it shrinks as we go through the day. Now, when we look at the islands and we look at this enhanced picture, we can kind of see those upper level winds. Look at this. See how it's kind of flat here? That's upper level winds pushing in this way, pushing some dry air against the storm. But the storm is pushing back and has enough oomph of its own that it's not going to be affected by that. Here we can see these bands on the enhanced satellite picture there affecting the Turks and Caicos here and the southeastern Bahamas. The National Hurricane Center actually analyzes that and says this is how big tropical storm force winds, 40 mile per hour winds or higher, are extending out from the storm. And there you see just brushing the Turks and Caicos right now, and that's why they have the tropical storm warnings in effect for the southern part of the Bahamian chain, and then they have watches in effect for the possibility of those 40 mile per hour or higher winds. Watch as we go forward in time. You see the Hurricane Center thinking still a little strengthening in this thing today as it begins to lift away slowly from the Bahamas as it begins to get picked up by that dip in the jet stream. Some weakening but expanding of the tropical storm force winds. There's what the full cone looks like, and you look at that and you say, okay, looks like it's going to affect down here now.
Okay, I'm going to pause this here because I wasn't going to play. I didn't plan on playing or showing you this same news report over again. That wasn't my plan. I want to show you something else. This comes from Tampa Bay, Florida. Right here.
Halrow here at the warehouse location of Bargain Basement.
Sorry, I hate these commercials, guys. Sorry about that.
Thanks for logging on to myfoxhurricane.com, watching Hurricane Erin really exploded in intensity over the weekend. It's now fluctuating in that intensity. It was down to a Category 3, now back up to a Category 4. Winds are at 140 miles an hour. The other thing is the storm, it's growing in size. Hurricane force winds, they extend right now 80 miles out from the center, 230 miles for those tropical storm force winds. Now, still tracking this very closely. We're watching that turn that'll be working its way towards the north and eventually towards the northeast, just threading the needle between the U.S. and Bermuda. So it does still, everything looks like that core of the hurricane, it will stay off the east coast, but there will still be impacts as this works its way right through Bermuda
and say North Carolina. So we're going right in between these, but when you have this powerful of a hurricane, there are still going to be impacts. So here's that visible satellite loop, and really, just from a scientific standpoint, a very impressive hurricane. Conditions are still really ideal for this system right now. You've seen a very symmetrical system. Hurricane reconnaissance planes, they've been flying in this system nearly nonstop. And what they're noticing with this is just a lot of lightning in and around the center of the storm. Now,
okay, notice he said lightning in and around the center of the storm. Now I'm going to pause this one too, and then we'll come back and continue this. I want you to see the Air Force Guppy. They fly this huge Air Force cargo plane loaded with scientific instruments into this storm. Watch what happens with this. Just a second. This will give you some insight in what it takes to jet plane, or not a jet plane, this is a turboprop plane from the Air Force going into this hurricane. Watch what happens. Right into the eye of the storm. Look at that. There's a 30-mile wide eye of the storm. Hear that rain and hail helping the windshield of this plane? Most people don't even see this. Most people will never ever see this kind of plane flying through the eye of a hurricane. They don't show it. I believe they need to show it because this gives you a good idea of exactly what is happening with the storm. This is a very big, bad storm here. Let's continue watching this report.
The tropical systems, when you have a lot of that lightning near the center, really shows it's a very active system. It is getting stronger. So they are expecting this to gain even more intensity as we go through today. Not nearly as quickly as what we saw over the weekend, but it's going to fluctuate. So we're going to see these ramped up in intensity, and then some of it will weaken off as we go through these eye wall replacement cycles. But we will also, especially as we go through these eye wall replacement cycles, continue to grow that overall size of the storm. So right now, winds are at 140 miles an hour, moving to the west-northwest at 10 miles an hour. That forecast track, it's just been little nudges here and there, but still, you have Bermuda over here. Here's the coastline of North Carolina, up to about 145 miles an hour as we head through this afternoon and this evening. Then as it continues to work its way to the north, a little bit of weakening, but still we're talking about a very dangerous storm working its way right between Bermuda and the U.S. coastline, then eventually turning more towards that northeasterly direction. We're seeing very good consensus among the models. I mean, considering what we're dealing with, this is very closely packed in there, so you have good confidence in that. But the other thing that we're really going to be watching along the east coast of the U.S., from basically the east coast of Florida all the way up towards Maine, is going to be those large swells, coastal erosion, and some flooding is also a possibility as this system just basically makes that trek all the way up the coastline. So here you're looking at that wind field, and as we head through Thursday, that's where it's sitting just off the coast of North Carolina, and you see those winds. These are the wind gusts. Those will be coming from that north and northeasterly direction, but we're looking at gusts about 60 miles an hour possible with this. Right.
Notice that 60-mile-per-hour gusts on the coastline, as well as those high waves and water, and there's going to be flooding included in that.
Along those outer banks, and that's why you're seeing those evacuations across the coastal areas, the outer banks of North Carolina. Then it will continue to work its way away, but still, even along the coastline, up towards Long Island, back into New Jersey, heading over towards Massachusetts, we're still going to be talking about some pretty strong winds in these areas. You can see that core of this stays offshore, but those wind gusts basically just raking right along the coastline as we go through the week. You look at the wave field with this, and that will continue to be a big determining factor on just how bad some of these conditions get as we go through the next couple of days. But you notice the Bahamas really protecting that southern end of Florida. But then you notice as you work your way up the coastline, heading up towards North Carolina, you're seeing some of these waves, wave heights up to over 20 feet. And then that even spreads.
Look at how bad, see those red lines, guys? Those are the inner bands of the storm. These red lines are probably close to 70 or 80 miles per hour. Those yellow lines are about 40 to 60 miles per hour.
Up towards New Jersey as well. Now, a wider view looking at the rest of the tropics after Erin goes by. We're also watching this one tropical wave. So we're now starting to get into that time where we're watching more and more of these tropical waves working their way off the coast of Africa. It's dealing with some of that dry air, but the European and the GFS both indicating as we get into this region, pushing across the central Atlantic, that we are quite likely going to see more development with this. The GFS somewhat all over the place with the long range forecast. So we don't really focus in right now on those really long range forecasts. You stay more towards that short and medium range, and that is for that possibility of something trying to develop in this same area as we head through the next 7 days. So we will watch all of this, and we will keep you updated right here on myfoxhurricane.com.
myfoxhurricane.com, Tampa Bay, Florida. Okay? Does anybody have any questions about anything we've shown you? This is important information. Okay? We've given you a lot of information over the past 4 days. This hurricane is getting closer and closer to our shoreline here on the East Coast. No, the hurricane itself will not be entering land. However, the outer bands of the storm is going to hit land. Okay? Now, as we've shown you before, these hurricanes, these outer bands of the storm throw off thunderstorms. They throw off thunderstorms and tornadoes, so we may actually see some thunderstorms hitting the coastline, going further inland, and also having outer band tornadoes as well. So I want you all to prepare for that. If you have friends, relatives, or you yourself is here on the coastline of the East Coast, you need to prepare. You need to send this information out to all your friends and neighbors who live here on the East Coast. They need to have this information. We don't know how far inland it's going to go. The outer bands are going to go far enough inland. They're not going to reach where I live over in the foothills of North Carolina. However, east of us will. Okay? And possibly even over in Shelby where Renee Seppi lives. So we need to make sure we get this information out to everybody we know. We're here to save lives here. We're here to save lives. Okay? That's why we do these programs. We show you what is happening. We show you emergencies and disasters and tell you exactly what's happening. Okay? Now, I want to talk about some earthquakes as well. First off, I want to go over to the USGS map here in the beginning. Okay? I'm going to take down our EMA banner. I'm going to take down my webcam as we explain what's going on. Now, as you can see, the USGS map comes up here in the area of Kamchatka Peninsula, where we had some major earthquakes during the last 2 to 3 weeks. Okay? Major earthquakes. Go figure. How about that? Yes, we have an earthquake here. This earthquake hit here today at approximately 12:48 p.m. Eastern Time. This is a 5.2 large earthquake. 5.2 large earthquake. But look what else we have. We also have an aftershock of this 5.2. This is 14 kilometers deep. 14 kilometers deep. The main shock, the 5.0, is 6.2 miles deep. Interesting. We have an aftershock of 14 miles deep, and this is 6.2 miles deep. Interesting, huh? Absolutely. Let's go further south. This is a 4.6 earthquake here, moderate earthquake. Okay? This hit just after, just after, right before 11 a.m. Eastern Time today. This is a 4.6 earthquake. This is 18 kilometers deep. This is a large 5.0. So we have two 5.0, 5.2 earthquakes here. But again, these are not all of the earthquakes because USBS is not showing everything. This is a large 5.0 earthquake. It happened 40 miles deep. 40 miles deep. This is south of the Kamchatka Peninsula in the northern part of the Kuril Islands. Further south here, we also have another 5.0 earthquake. This is 32 miles deep. Okay? This is not all. This is not all. Over here near Atka, Alaska, this is a moderate 4.0 earthquake in the Aleutian Island chain. This is 13 miles deep. Let's go further south. Okay? Now, USGS is not showing all the earthquakes. Right here off the coast, sorry, just off the coast of Osaka, Japan, we have a 4.0 earthquake. That's not all, folks, there's more. Earlier today, the USGS took it down, which I think is a catastrophe. They shouldn't take these down. There was a large earthquake early this morning, about 4 o'clock this morning. A 5.2 earthquake struck this area at just after 4 o'clock this morning. 5.2 large earthquake. Look where it's at. Look where it's at. It's over here, just west of this plate. This is near the edge of the plate, guys. The edge of the plate here. This is a very deep ridge here, undersea ridge here. Okay? That's what happened here. Again, they're not showing everything. Okay? Over here, just offshore of Taiwan, We have another 4.2 moderate earthquake here. This happens to be 19 miles deep. 4.2 moderate earthquake, 19 miles deep. This earthquake was offshore, 19 miles. It was a moderate earthquake. The ocean waters of the South China Sea absorbed the shockwaves of this quake. Okay? Now again, we go over here into the Philippines and even further south into Indonesia. USPS is not showing any of the earthquakes either off of Luzon or on Luzon Island, which is the largest island here in the Philippines. They're not showing anything, but there are earthquakes here. There are 3 earthquakes here. There's a 3.5, there's a 3.2, and there's a 2.7 earthquake on the southern part of Luzon Island here. They're not showing much of anything, are they? Down here near Mindanao Island here, this is the largest island in the Philippines. There is a 4.0, 4.6, and 4.7 earthquakes off the east coast of Mindanao, Philippines here. Not showing up. Further north here, okay, this is a 4.5 earthquake over here in northern Indonesia. Manado, Indonesia. 119 miles north-northwest of Manado, Indonesia. Okay, look at this, guys. This is in the Celebes Sea here, out here in the ocean. Nobody felt this earthquake. It's far enough away from any occupied islands, nobody felt this earthquake, and the ocean waters absorbed the shockwaves of this quake. Further down here to the south and east, this is a 4.5 earthquake here. Okay, 38 miles southeast of Belitung, Indonesia. This is 47 kilometers deep. Just to the north there, this is another 4.7 earthquake here, also 47 kilometers deep. Right next to it to the north, this is a 5.0 earthquake here. A 5.0 earthquake, also 43 kilometers deep. Large earthquake. Indonesia. Okay, now I'm going to zoom out here so you can see they're not reporting any earthquakes over here in Sumatra, Indonesia, over here to the southwest. Not showing anything. There are earthquakes here. There are earthquakes over here near Java, Indonesia as well. They're not showing any earthquakes until we get over here just north of northwest Australia here. This is a 4.8 earthquake south of Timor, just north of Australia here, northwestern Australia. A 4.8 moderate earthquake here, 6.2 miles deep. Out here, okay, this is in the Banda Sea here. This is in the Banda Sea just off the coast of east of Java here. This is a 4.8 earthquake. Guess what? Guess what? 535 kilometers deep. This is a semi-deep earthquake. This 4.8 earthquake is going to propagate a 5.5 to 5.6 earthquake. This 4.8 earthquake is going to propagate a larger, more shallow quake. 5.5 to 5.6 earthquake, probably sometime within the next 3 to 10 days. Okay? We have to look forward to that. Further to the northeast here, this is a 4.4, also in the Banda Sea. This is a fairly shallow earthquake, only 93 miles deep. Okay? But we're not done. Let's go over here. North of Papua New Guinea. This is another 4.4, 6.2 miles, 10 kilometers deep. 4.4 minor earthquake here. We go out here in the Pacific Ocean now. Right here is another 5.5 earthquake. Remember when we talked about a 4.3 deep earthquake south of Fiji? We told you then that that earthquake would propagate a 5.5, 5.6 earthquake, and that's exactly what happened. I was spot on with that forecast. This is the 5.5 earthquake that I said was going to happen, and I was right on the money. This also is a shell earthquake, 6.2 miles deep. Okay? Now, again, they're not showing any earthquakes here in New Zealand at all, which is a fallacy. There are 32 earthquakes. Most of those earthquakes are just north of the North Island of New Zealand. Over here in the Bay of Plenty. Also, they go up north into the Kermadec Islands over here, which are bird sanctuaries. Okay? There's 20, I believe it's 21 or 22 earthquakes over here on the North Island itself. Down here to the south, we have 3 earthquakes down here on the South Island. Okay? Sad that USPS doesn't want to touch it. They don't want to touch it. Unreal. I'm going to come over here to South America, but I will go back to Europe. Down here off the southwest coast of Chile here. This is a 4.8 earthquake. It's an aftershock of a large earthquake. This 4.8 is a 6.2 mile deep earthquake. But this earthquake is an aftershock of this 5.6 earthquake. This is a very large 5.6 earthquake just off the southern shores of Chile here. This is also 6.2 miles deep. So we had a 5.6 large earthquake down here. Over here in central Chile, we have 14 earthquakes here in central Chile right there. Up here to the north, we have 1 earthquake here that they're telling us about. We have another 12 earthquakes here in northern Chile. This is a 4.3 earthquake. We have a bunch of 4.2s, 2.5s, 3.5s, and 3.7 earthquakes here in the northern part of Chile. They don't want to talk about it, do they? They never do. We have 1 earthquake that they want to show us here in southern Peru. This is a large 5.0 earthquake. 5.0 earthquake here in the Andes, foothills of the Andes Mountains. Interesting, huh? Interesting. A large 5.0 earthquake. This one is 57 miles deep. What else do we have here, guys? What else do we have here? We have volcanoes. Volcanoes all over this. This 5.0 earthquake may be inspired by magma down beneath the surface. This 5.0 earthquake here in Peru may have been inspired by magma down beneath the surface, since we have a volcano right there. Again, this volcano is in the foothills of the Andes Mountains here in Peru. We have other earthquakes that they're not telling us about here as well. Over here in Colombia, we have earthquakes here in Colombia that they're not showing. They never show all the earthquakes here in Central America either. We have 13 earthquakes here in Central America. This earthquake right here is just south of San Salvador. This is a 4.2 earthquake. This earthquake is also 21 miles deep, offshore of San Salvador. Over here to the north, this is a 4.2 earthquake, south of Puerto San Jose, Guatemala. To the north of there, this is a 4.3 earthquake here. 7 miles, it's offshore, 7 miles east-southeast. Actually, it's not east-southeast, it's west-southwest of Nueva Concepcion, Guatemala. West-southwest of Nuevo Concepcion, Guatemala. They're not showing all the earthquakes here. From southern Mexico down near the Guatemala border, all the way up here to Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. 42 earthquakes here. 42 earthquakes all over this area. Now, when that happens, we can almost be guaranteed that we're going to see a large earthquake at some point in time. We're going to see a very large earthquake here. That very large earthquake could happen to be a major 7.0 earthquake as well. Okay? When we see swarms of earthquakes like we're seeing, that usually means a large earthquake is on its way. Okay? Now you see a bunch of earthquakes over here in Southern California. Things have calmed down somewhat in Southern California. We will talk about earthquakes in Southern California tomorrow. Nothing really to worry about here, except down here in the Imperial County. When they don't show us earthquakes here, I worry. This earthquake here is near Holtville on the San Andreas Fault. This is a 1.3 tremor here in Holtville, but it's not the only earthquake, and it's one of the smallest tremors here as well. They have large earthquakes here in Holtville as well. Going north here, this is near Brawley, California. This is not the only earthquake that's happened here in Brawley, California. This also is a 1.2 tremor, but it's not the only one. They have anywhere between 450 earthquakes here a day in the Imperial Valley. They're not showing us. They're not showing us. They don't want anybody to know what's going on. Let's go up here to the north in San Diego County. Vista, California. I used to live in Vista, California, guys. Just out here near Gopher Canyon Road in Vista, California. Gopher Canyon Road is right there. You see it right there. This is a 1.0 tremor out here, just northeast of Vista, California. Northeast of Vista, California here. Okay? I used to live over here. That is just a minor 1.0 tremor. There are more than that. Up here to the north, Lakeland Village, California. They say this is a minus 0.3, which means it's above sea level. Guess what? They are lying through their teeth. This is an earthquake, but it's nearly 5 miles, nearly 3 miles deep. Nearly 3 miles deep. Not above sea level at all. Okay? Stupidity is that. Stupidity is that. We go out here to the San Andreas Fault. I keep talking about the San Andreas Fault is because we have earthquakes. And this San Andreas Fault is locked and loaded. We may see a 6.5 to a 7.5 earthquake any day now. We may see a 6.5 to a 7.5 earthquake here on the San Andreas Fault at any point in time. It's locked and loaded and ready to go. Over here on the San Andreas here, 1.4 tremor in Banning. Right here, just west of the San Andreas here, this is Calamasa, California. A 0.8 microquake here. Going north, Mentone, California, 1.0 tremor here. To the north here, Highland, California, 1.4 tremor here. To the north here, in the southern San Bernardino Mountains, Little Creek, California, 1.8 tremor. All of these are on the San Andreas Fault. Okay? You see very few other earthquakes here on the San Andreas as we go north here. Up here, just south of Monterey Bay. We told you about these earthquakes here before. These are the pinnacles. Here in the pinnacles, we not just have the San Andreas Fault here, we also have oil and gas drilling here. Here we have a 1.3 tremor here. Here we have a 1.7 tremor here. West there, Gonzales, California. This is also 1.7 tremor. Further north, just east of Monterey Bay, again on the San Andreas Fault. This is a 1.8 tremor here. Okay? Further north here, guess what? right along the San Andreas Fault. A 0.6 microquake. We come up here to the southern part of San Francisco Bay. Over here in the east side of San Francisco Bay, we have a 1.2 tremor. Okay? Now, going down further south here on the Calaveras Fault. This is Alum Rock, California. Calaveras Fault right here. Just west there, right here, you have the Hayward. This area south of San Francisco Bay is very dangerous because we have the Calaveras, we have the Hayward, and we also have the San Andreas Fault. Three of the most deadly faults in California: the San Andreas, the Hayward, and the Calaveras Fault here. Okay? That's what's here. You go north of San Francisco Bay to Loyola, California. This is a 0.6 microquake here. This is also 3.3 miles deep. Also on what? On what? The San Andreas Fault. Now, briefly before we leave California and go into the Pacific Northwest, I want to stop over here in the geysers area here. We talked about this last Friday and last Thursday. Last Thursday, we had over 100 earthquakes here in the geysers facility. The geysers facility here is a geothermal facility where men have dug into the upper magma chambers, this lake that's just above it, just north of there. Okay? This lake is a volcano. This lake is a volcano. It's called, what else? Clear Lake Volcano. Clear Lake Volcano. They dug into the upper magma chambers of that volcano to obtain steam to power turbines here in the geysers facility. What happens here? Why do we have earthquakes? Because seismic energy comes off of the Pacific plate out to sea, comes over here to this side of the fault, the North American plate. Here we have drill points where men have drilled into the ground here to obtain steam from the volcano, just like drill points down in Texas or Oklahoma and Kansas. Any one of those drill points is susceptible to seismic energy hitting it and fracturing the rock in the drill point. That's exactly what's happening here. That is why we have tremors and why we have microquakes here as well. Okay? You see all the earthquakes here. These earthquakes, again, are a result of drilling into the upper magma chambers of that volcano to obtain steam to power these turbines to generate electricity here at the geysers facility. That's why you have earthquakes here in Sonoma County, California, the geysers electrical facility. Okay, let's go north here. Now I leave here and go into the Pacific Northwest. Now we are over here in the southern part of the Cascadia subduction zone region. Out here to the west, to the east here, this is Hayfork, California. We have a 2.0 earthquake just north of the fault line. Just north of the fault line. That comes off of the ocean here and continues eastbound here. Eastbound from Petrolia, further east here. Okay? But we have an earthquake over here on the northern part of the San Andreas Fault here. This is a 2.1 earthquake just 9 miles west of Petrolia, California, on the San Andreas Fault. The San Andreas Fault comes up here and meets with the Cascadia subduction zone, which is this earthquake fault you see here going north. The Cascadia subduction zone earthquake fault. To the west here is what they call the Gorda Escarpment. The Gorda Escarpment. South of the Gorda Escarpment and south of the Cascadia subduction zone here, we have another earthquake. This is a 2.3 earthquake here. Minor 2.3 earthquake here. Further out here to the north and out here to the west, on the Gorda Escarpment here, we have a 2.8 minor earthquake here. We have seismic energy here in the southern part of the Cascadia subduction zone. We follow the Cascadia subduction zone to the north. Just offshore in Oregon, just barely offshore in Oregon, again, we have an earthquake off of Yachats, Oregon. Yachats, Oregon. This is a 1.6 tremor. Last week we had a 1.8 tremor here. Now we have a 1.6 here. Now again, what they're showing here are not the only earthquakes here. I'm going to show you a bunch of earthquakes here. I'm also going to show you what is happening with the volcanoes here in Washington and Oregon. Okay, we go north. Just north of the Oregon border here. See an earthquake. This is a 2.0 earthquake here near Labam, Washington State. 2.0 earthquake near Labam, Washington State. We go further down here to the south here, just east of Oregon. This is a 1.0 tremor here near La Center, Washington. La Center, Washington. Now, we don't see any earthquakes at all over here near Mount Hood. There are earthquakes here. I'm going to show you the earthquakes at Mount Hood in just a few minutes. Not showing anything. Why not? Because USGS is negligent. The United States Geological Survey is negligent. Negligent. Remember that word. They're not showing any earthquakes here at Mount St. Helens because they are negligent. There are earthquakes here at Mount St. Helens. There are earthquakes and steam emitted from Mount Adams right here. Not showing that either. We go further north here. Over here again to the west. This earthquake fault here is on the Labam, Washington area. I showed you this just a few minutes ago. Let's go further to the northeast here. This is just southwest of Mount Rainier. What is this? USGS says we have an explosion here. Really? An explosion here? Well, I'll be darned. They say this is 7 miles south-southeast of Mount Rainier. It's not. It's not south-southeast. It is south-southwest of Mount Rainier. So again, USGS is wrong. It's southwest of Mount Rainier here. Let's zoom in here. I want to show you what's actually going on here. Look right here. It's in a river. How can this be in explosion in a river? It's not. This is the 1.1 tremor here. This is the 1.1 tremor here in the river. Why are we having tremors here? Okay. Underneath the Columbia River here. What do we have? We have a magma flow, guys. We have a magma flow here. Okay. That magma flow stretches all the way from the coastline. The magma flow stretches all the way from the coastline here. Magma flows go under rivers, as well as earthquake faults. Okay? That's what's going on here. This is not an explosion. So I caught USGS in just one more lie here. One more falsehood. We do this regularly. This is not a spontaneous combustion carnivorous exploding tree. This is in the river here. Okay? I just love catching USGS in lies. I love catching USGS in lies. Rich says, working with gophers, yeah. Gophers under the river. Let's go over here to Mount Rainier real quick here. Look at this. They are only showing us one tremor here, a microquake. A 0.4 microquake over here on the southwest side rim of the volcano. I'm probably going to show you at least 100 to 200 microquakes. I'm going to show you probably 50 to 100 tremors. I'm going to show you some earthquakes here at Mount Rainier today. Earthquakes that USGS doesn't want to show you. Plausible deniability. That way, when the volcano erupts, they're going to say, oh, we didn't realize that. We have no knowledge of that, yet they do. The seismographs are there for a reason. The seismographs are located all around these volcanoes. They know what's going on. They can play dumb all they want, but the truth hurts. Let's go further to the northwest here. This is a 0.1 microquake here. This is 1 mile west, Wilkinson, Washington. 1 mile just southeast. Let's double check that. Look at this. It's 1 mile west of Wilkinson, Washington, right there. That's Wilkinson, Washington. It's 0.1 microquake here. Okay. Look at this. They're not showing anything else going on. I want to show you some earthquakes all around the coastline. And then I'm going to show you earthquakes at the volcano. That's where we're going with this. Okay. So let's get on with this. Okay. I'm going to take down the USGS map. Let's go over to the volcano. Actually, not the volcanoes first. Let's go over to the earthquakes along the coastline. Okay? I want to show you this. Again, this is very important. This is very, very important here. This is Oregon. Warrenton, Oregon, guys. The Clatsop County Sheriff's Office. Interesting, huh? Look what we're having here. Look what we're having. The top red line here is 5:15 yesterday evening. We see a red horizontal line here. At the beginning, this red horizontal line is thick. Why? Because what we're seeing here is magma. A magma pulse here. A magma pulse, where we have a thicker layer of magma coming into the volcano. In this case, running through the magma chamber headed for the volcano. This is running through the magma chamber headed to the volcano in Oregon. Clatsop County Sheriff's Office. Okay, we're seeing thicker line and then a thinner line. This happens with pulse magma signals. Pulse magma signals can start off with a thicker line and then get thinner and then get thicker again. That's what we're seeing here. You're also seeing a bunch of tremors, and you're also seeing some minor earthquakes as well. For example, this red line here over on the left-hand side. Over here on the left-hand side, guys, we're seeing a 2.3 earthquake. A 2.3 earthquake over here on this red line here. This red line here is 8:15 p.m. last night. It's also approximately 8:18 p.m. last night. 2.3 earthquake. We can drop down here, over here to the right here, to this blue line down here on the center right. Okay, this is after 3:30 this, no, this is after 4:30 this morning. In this case, this is about 4:41 a.m. this morning. This is like a 2.2 earthquake here. 2.2 earthquake. Yes, we are seeing tremors here and we're seeing earthquakes here. This red line over here to the right, on the far right, on the red line. This is after midnight last night. The red line on the left-hand side would be 12:15. This is 12:29 a.m. this morning. This is a 2.6, 2.7 earthquake here. As I'm showing you tremors, and I'm showing you minor earthquakes here. Clatsop County Sheriff's Office. Look at the red, blue, and black lines here. This is dishonesty. This is called artifact. USBS PNSN artifact. Just because it's thick doesn't mean anything. In this case, it's abstract garbage. Abstract garbage. But you see these thicker lines here that get thinner here? You see earthquakes and tremors all over there? That's because of magma. That's because of magma. Yes, you are seeing probably just tremors here, but I believe we have at least 2.3, 2.5 earthquakes here, right in this area. Okay, Clatsop County, Oregon, Warrenton, Oregon. Okay, let's continue this. Now I want to show you a couple other places like Seaside, Oregon, right along the coastline. Look at all these tremors here. Look at all these tremors here. All of these are 1.0 to 1.3 tremors here. There is one minor earthquake here over on the right-hand side on the blue line here. This is after approximately I want to say 7:43 a.m. this morning. This is a 2.6, 2.7 earthquake. All the rest of these are all tremors, except for this one on the black line towards the bottom here. This black line here is 11 a.m. on the left-hand side, and this is 11:02. This is also a 2.3 earthquake here. All the rest of these are tremors and minor earthquakes all day long. Guys, you can't make this up. You can't make it up. It happens every day. Literally every day. Now, there are probably close to 70 tremors and earthquakes here. 70 tremors and earthquakes near Seaside, Oregon. Now, I'm going to show you now the tremor map. The tremor map is going to blow your mind. Look what we're showing you here. We're showing you a lot of earthquakes over here on South Vancouver Island. A lot of tremors. Further south here, just north of Portland, Oregon here, southern Washington. This is also a huge cache of earthquake tremors here. There are 321 tremors here. 321 tremors. Why is USGS not showing this on the map? 321 tremors that they're not showing here. Fascinating. Fascinating. They don't want to even tell you what's going on here. But they're also not showing anything in Oregon either. Not a thing. We go down here, okay? I'm going in larger so you can see what we're talking about here. Okay? This is Northern California. We see a handful of tremors here. Why are they not showing these? Why is USBS not showing this? Inquiring minds want to know. I want to know. I think you have a duty to know as well. Okay? Seismic energy all over the landscape in Oregon and Washington, especially along the shoreline. They're not even being honest with us about the tremors and earthquakes here. They can't be honest. They don't know how. They don't know how. I've shown you 2 locations in Oregon. There's about another dozen others other than that. Okay, let's go over to the Washington Department of Fish and Game in Nocata, Washington. Look at this. Why are they not showing these? There's probably close to 100 tremors and earthquakes here. Why are they not showing these? I'm not done. I want to go over to Grayland, Washington, to the Grayland Intergalactic Airport. Look at this. Why are they not showing these earthquakes here? They're not making any mention of these earthquakes at all. These aren't just tremors, these are practical earthquakes. Over here towards the center right-hand side of your screen here. Guess what? 2.6, 2.7 earthquake. 2.6, 2.7 earthquake. When did it happen? Just after midnight last night. Okay? This was about 29 minutes after the hour. Actually, I'm sorry. This is 19 minutes after the hour. After midnight. What else do we have to show you here? Let me show you. Okay? First off, this red earthquake here on the right-hand side. 2.7, 2.8 earthquake. Minor earthquake. Let's take a look at it. Okay? Let's enlarge this so you can take a look at it. This earthquake happened after 8:15 a.m. this morning. On the left-hand side is 8:15 on this red line. Over here, we have 8:13. This is just prior to 8:14. 8:13 this morning, we have a 2.8, 2.9 earthquake. 2.8, 2.9 earthquake. Then we come over here to the center part of our seismogram here. This is after 8 a.m. After 8 a.m. This is after 8:07 a.m. here. This is a 3.1 earthquake. This is a 3.1 earthquake coupled with a 2.8, 2.9. Okay? Then after that, after 9 a.m., we come over here. This is 9:14 a.m. here on this second black line. This is a 2.6, 2.7 earthquake, minor earthquake. Prior to that, we had a 2.4 earthquake. Just right prior to that, just seconds before that. Come over here on the blue line after that. On the left-hand side is 9:30. Over here, this is 9:30, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 9:35 this morning. Actually, I'm sorry, on this blue line, that's not true. This is 9:33 this morning. 2.7, 2.8 earthquake. Unreal. Why are they not showing us this information? Guys, this is over in the northern part of the Cascadia region here. On the east side of the Strait of Juan de Fuca. The east side of the Strait of Juan de Fuca. Why are they not showing us this? They should be. They show you some tremors there. Why are they not showing you the earthquakes? I'm not done. Wait till you see what we have to show you here. Okay? Let's show you Grays Harbor. Grays Harbor, Washington. Here we have one lone earthquake. One lone earthquake here, guys. This one is late last night. Actually, not that late. This is after 9:43 p.m. last night. 2.7, 2.8 earthquake. Look at all the other tremors here. All kinds of tremors here at Arctic. Grays Harbor, Washington. Now, yes, some of those tremors you saw on the tremor map may be linked to this. Some of them. We're not done. I also want to show you Pacific Beach Naval Resort. Look at this. More tremors here. A lot more tremors here. And you also see one lone line here. That lone vertical line here is steam. No, there's no volcano here near the Pacific Beach Resort here in Washington State, along the coastline. But there is magma coming in off the Pacific Plate. Magma coming in off the Pacific Plate over here to the North American Plate. The magma is degassing. The magma is degassing. 67% of all magma is water. That is why we have a steam signal here. That is a full-blown steam signal here. Now, why you might not see a cloud of gas, sulfur dioxide or carbon dioxide, magma is degassing here on land here. Nowhere near the volcanoes. Nowhere near the volcanoes. In fact, some of these places could be just under houses or schools or parks. Magma degassing in the ground just west of the volcanoes. Remember that. Remember that. Pacific Beach Resort here. Just a second here. Okay, Mary DeSilva is going to Seattle this weekend. Our 45th high school reunion. I hope nothing happens. I hope it doesn't happen either. It could, but I hope it doesn't. All you see are tremors here at the Pacific Beach Naval Resort here. Just tremors. Nothing but tremors. Let's continue here. Let's go north to Rockport, Washington. Look at this. This is near Mount Baker to the north. Look what we have here. I've shown you this before. Here near Rockport, this is not necessarily near the volcano. This is east of the volcano. Rockport here is also feeling tremors, harmonic tremors, because of the magma down beneath the surface. Magma down beneath the surface here. Harmonic tremors here in Rockport, Washington. Okay? It's happening. I keep showing you these kinds of instances all the time here. Harmonic tremors are vibrations. Vibrations in the earth. As magma courses through magma channels in the crust we walk on. Magma coursing through magma channels here on the crust that we walk on. Remember that. This is important. That's important information. Now, guys, I want you to also do this. Let's go over and talk about volcanoes. Good old volcanoes here. Look at this. This is Glacier Peak. Glacier Peak, Washington. These are the most earthquakes we've seen at Glacier Peak in a very long time. Again, you need to realize that USGS never gives you all the information. They never will. They're not going to give it to me. They're not going to give it to you, but occasionally we'll stumble on a seismograph just like this. The seismograph that is there on Glacier Peak is the only seismograph available. It's a 3-channel seismograph. Okay, but we're showing earthquakes here. Yes, we're seeing some tremors as well. But did they mention any tremors or earthquakes at Glacier Peak today? Either on the USGS map or even the tremor map? Not a thing. Glacier Peak is moving. Magma down beneath the surface of this volcano is moving. The magma here coming into the volcano is fracturing rock inside the volcano. That's what you see here. Fracturing rock inside the volcano here. Up at the top, all you see here are tremors. Let's go over here to this big black line in the center of this seismograph. I want to show you what's actually happening. This is after 8 a.m. this morning. Just between 8:07 and 8:08 this morning, we had this earthquake. This is a 2.9 3.0 earthquake here at Glacier Peak. 2.9 3.0 earthquake here at Glacier Peak. I've told you all that USGS never shows us everything. They're not showing us anything at all. This seismogram comes from the Pacific Northwest Seismic Network. You don't find out anything about earthquakes or tremors until you come over here to the PNSN seismograms. That's why we showed this to you. Glacier Peak had a 3.0 earthquake today. Look at these other earthquakes on either side of the 3.0. Though the first one on the left-hand side is a tremor, 1.5, 1.6 tremor. On the right-hand side is at 1.6, 1.7. Just to the right of there on the blue line beneath that. That, guys, is a 2.0 earthquake. You see tremors before and after that earthquake. The tremors after that last about 30 seconds. Again, this is just barely a 2.0 earthquake. Let's drop down now to that black line beneath that. Okay? Guys, this is approximately 9:06 a.m. this morning. Okay? Again, we have a 2.0 earthquake. We have tremors before and after this earthquake. The black line beneath that is a 2.7, 2.8 earthquake. The red line over on the left-hand side is after 11:15. Just after 11:15, this is a 2.6, 2.7 earthquake. Okay, magma, guys. Magma at Mount Glacier Peak. Glacier Peak volcano. I'm not done. Let's drop south to Mount Rainier. I just love showing you this, guys. I do. I get a kick out of it. Mount Rainier is moving in a big way. Look at Camp Sherman, guys. Look at Camp Sherman. Yes, we have tremors here. You can see tremors all over this seismograph. You also see vertical lines with no dots in the middle. If you see a vertical line with a dot in it, that's an earthquake. If you see a vertical dot without an earthquake in it, or a dot in it, that is a steam signal. Mount Rainier is also steaming. Yes, you are seeing tremors all over this map, all over the seismograph. They're not showing on the earthquake map at all. USGS is not showing anything here at Mount Rainier. Not a thing. But over here after 1:30 a.m. over here on this blue line here on the left-hand side, you're seeing a 2.0 earthquake. About 1:03 a.m. this morning, 2.0 earthquake. Then we drop down here on this black line over towards the right. We have a magma churn signal. A magma churn signal this morning. What is a magma churn signal? A magma churn signal is simply overheated magma. Very hotly disturbed magma coming into the magma chamber of this volcano. That's why we have magma churn signals, by the way. Very high temperature magma. But guess what? The magma churn signals are typically supposed to be 23 to 24 lines high. How high is this? Let's count these lines here. Let's count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines high. Which means this magma churn signal is approximately 30% of real world. What we're seeing here is 30% of real world, which means these tremors, some of these tremors could be 2.0 earthquakes. Out to the right of that magma churn signals, those individual lines are steam signals. Those are steam signals. Mount Rainier is steaming. They're not showing us any of the tremors. They're not showing us any of the earthquakes here at Mount Rainier at all. But down here on the bottom, towards the bottom of the side graph, over here, you see 0900, 0900 here on the left-hand side. That's 9 a.m. So the next blue line is 9:30. Fancy that. About 9:33 this morning, we have a 2.93 earthquake. Then we move over here to the right. Here we have a 2.6, 2.7 earthquake. This one is at 9:43 a.m. this morning. 9:43 a.m. this morning, we have a 2.6, 2.7 earthquake. Yes, we have earthquakes here at Mount Rainier, regardless of what the USGS says. Okay? Camp Muir, guys. I'm sorry, this is Camp Sherman. This is Camp Sherman. Let's go take a look at Camp Muir. Let's take a look at Camp Muir. This is going to blow your mind. Look at this. Camp Muir is showing us tremors here. Tremors here, not much else. Tremors here, not much else. We have minor tremors here. Look at the harmonic tremors here. Those small vertical lines close together, those are called harmonic tremors. I've shown you this before. That's vibrating of the volcano. Vibration of the volcano here at Mount Rainier. Okay, look at that. Lots and lots of tremors here at Mount Rainier. Is USGS showing us this? No. Heaven forbid. USGS doesn't want us to even know about it. It's called plausible deniability. That way, when something happens, they can deny it happened. Plausible deniability. Let's go down and look at another channel here at Camp Muir. Look at this. This is the HHN channel. This is the HHN channel. Normally we see curvy lines here. Yes, we're seeing some curvy lines here at Mount Rainier. Not like we normally see them, however. Again, we're mostly seeing nothing but harmonic tremors here at Mount Rainier. So let's do something else. Let's check another location of harmonic tremors or magma entering the volcano. VLF waves here and another location here at Mount Rainier, such as this. This is Emerald Ridge. These curvy lines here you see at Emerald Ridge are VLF waves. VLF waves are caused by magma entering the volcanic chamber. Look at these VLF waves. The top, they're almost silent, but we're seeing tremors nonetheless. But look what happens early this morning. Notice what happens early this morning, guys. Just about 5 a.m. this morning, we get more and more magma here. The wavy lines get to be more frequent. Not as frequent as we've seen them here before. That is magma coming into the magma chamber here at Mount Rainier. Yes, we're seeing tremors here. We're seeing some minor earthquakes here as well. But still, USGS is not showing us anything. We have to come over here to Pacific Northwest Seismic Network to pull the information, because Mount Rainier is moving, and heaven forbid USGS tells us about it. Fact. Now, I want to hurry along here. I want to talk first about Mount St. Helens next. Okay? What's going on at Mount St. Helens, guys? Can anybody tell me what is going on at Mount St. Helens? This is Mount St. Helens EDM, East Dome Mount St. Helens. Look at this. Yes, we have some tremors here. All kinds of tremors here at Mount St. Helens. We have 2 earthquakes here. 2 earthquakes. One happened over here on the red line here after 3:15 this morning. After 3:16 this morning, almost 3:17, we have a 2.7, 2.8 earthquake. Over on the right side here on this black line here, let's look at what this is at. This is after 5 a.m. this morning. This is a 2.0, 2.1 earthquake, but look at all the magma there. Look at all the magma. It's a short magma churn signal there. Not even magma churn signal. It's a lot of magma coming into the magma chamber here. Notice this. There are tremors here, and there is 1.9, 2.0 earthquake there. Again, you won't see this on USGS. They would rather have us see nothing, because that is exactly what USGS has to show us on their map. Absolutely nothing. Nothing at Helens and nothing at Mount Rainier. Let me show you one more seismogram here at Mount, actually maybe 2. Okay. First thing I'm going to go do is show you September lobe. September lobe is another seismogram at the top of Mount St. Helens. Sits on spindly legs like a spider. Okay? Called September lobe. Look what we're seeing here. This is the BDF-CC01 channel on the September lobe seismograph. Okay? Here we're seeing these wavy lines very thick here. The more wavy lines here, the very wavy lines here, down from the middle down all the way until we finish today here on the seismogram. We should see a lot of earthquakes here. We should be seeing a lot of earthquakes here at September lobe, or even East Dome. Both seismographs sit on top of the volcano. But yet, USGS does not show us anything. Not a thing. Interesting, but no cigar. Let me show you one more at Mount St. Helens here. This is September lobe main channel. I just got through showing you a lot of magma activity from the bottom one third of the seismograph. Look here, we're showing you a 2.1, 2.2 earthquake at the bottom. Up at the top, we see nothing but tremors, including that red spike there, which is a 1.6, 1.7 tremor here. Not showing anything. We should be seeing a lot of earthquakes here. A lot of earthquakes. There's a lot of magma that should show us earthquakes because the magma is fracturing rocks inside the volcano. They have deleted that information. They've taken that information off the seismograph. Heaven forbid we see the truth. Heaven forbid we see the truth. They're just barely showing tremors here. They don't want us to know what's going on. Let's drop down to Mount Hood really quick. I know I'm just going over 2-hour time period, but I think this is important. Let's go over to Mount Hood. I want to show you Timberline now. Timberline. The seismograph at government campus called Timberline. Look at this. We have harmonic tremors and we have earthquakes here. Harmonic tremors and minor earthquakes here, especially at the bottom. Look at all those harmonic tremors. Mount Hood is vibrating. Mount Hood is experiencing vibration from the harmonic tremors. Unreal, huh? Totally unreal. Mount Hood is moving. Make no mistake about it, Mount Hood is moving. Let's drop to Bachelor now. Let's go south to Bachelor. Look at this. Again, we're seeing tremors here, long duration tremors. We're also seeing some harmonic tremors here as well. 2 weeks ago, we had a bunch of, in almost the entire seismogram here, was showing you nothing but harmonic tremors. Now we're seeing sporadic harmonic tremors here at Bachelor Volcano. Let's drop further south to Sisters Volcano. Let's drop farther south to Sisters Volcano here. Look at this. Now, Sisters Volcano is not just one volcano. There are three volcanoes at Sisters. Sisters North, Sisters Central, and Sisters South. One seismograph monitoring 3 volcanoes. Each of these volcanoes is very active. Up at the top, we're showing nothing but tiny tremors. Down at the bottom here, we're still showing you tremors here, but a lot of them. Sister volcano is very active. Very, very active. I hope for sure that they are planning on putting more seismographs on each of these volcanoes so we can see which volcano is actually moving here. They might know, but they're not showing us that information. Any questions about what is happening in the Pacific Northwest? I showed you the earthquakes here, and I also showed you the volcanoes here. Earthquakes happening along the coastline and just west of the volcanoes. And then I show you the volcanoes, what's going on here. This is important information. Everybody needs to understand what's going on here. Okay? Any questions here? Michael Kearney says thumbs up here. I agree. Please, folks, if you enjoyed our presentation or you got anything out of it, please give us a thumbs up. That will give YouTube the idea, hey, people enjoy this presentation. Also, the longer you spend here on our channel, the better off this channel is. If you're only here for 10 or 15 minutes, you're not going to get anything out of this channel. You're not going to get the information we have for you. Also, YouTube looks at the number of people that are watching our channel and also how long you're watching it. So if you're here a very short time and you're not watching this channel, guess what? They think this channel is worthless and they're not going to share it with anybody else on YouTube. So please stick around and watch our entire presentation and also give us a thumbs up. That would be greatly appreciated. Now, I gave you a Sunday school lesson yesterday for those of you that were part of it. I told you all that we all have the obligation to share the gospel of Jesus Christ. Each and every one of us has the obligation to share the gospel of Jesus Christ to your friends, your neighbors, and your family. Demon Catman is also saying, please, folks, help support this channel. Give us thumbs up. Spend some time on this channel. And also, I pay hundreds of dollars each month for bandwidth to broadcast this channel to you. So please help me with that. Help me with that. Go just down below this video here in the top of our program description. Go there. Why? Because if you go there, you'll see our PayPal and also our email address and our regular address as well. You're going to see that. It's important. I want you to see it. I want you to understand it. Our PayPal can help you get connected to our channel and help support this channel as well. So if you want to help support this channel, please do it. Go to one of the two PayPal locations you see here and help support this channel. Beneath that, you see our email address, rltnspdema@gmail.com. You can send us criticisms. You can send us comments. You can also send us ideas on what you'd like to see on this channel. Also, right below the PayPal, you see our mailing address here. This is 504 Bethel Road. 504 Bethel Road, Box 401. Morganton, North Carolina. The zip code here is 28655. So please help us with that, guys. Please send us comments, send us donations to our program. We greatly appreciate that. You can send us donations in envelopes with a letter telling us how you're doing preparation-wise for emergencies and disasters, or in a card. Send us a card. We love cards. Send us a card telling us what you're doing preparation-wise for emergencies and disasters. You can slip a check or cash in the card or inside your letter. Please do that. If you've done it in the past, we haven't had any letters at all or cards in about a month now. We'd appreciate that. Now, as I said before I interrupted myself, yesterday's Sunday school lesson was based on each one of us sharing the gospel of Jesus Christ, being worthy of being members of Christ's kingdom. In Romans, in the New Testament, the first chapter, 16th verse, it says, "For I am not ashamed of the gospel of Jesus Christ, for it is the power of God unto salvation to every one that believeth, to the Jew first, and also to the Greek." Paul wrote this. Paul wrote this because he wanted us to realize who we were and why we're here. He wanted us to realize that we can share the gospel of Jesus Christ. He is not ashamed of it, and neither should we. Please share the gospel of Jesus Christ to your friends, your neighbors, and your family. Let's bring them along with us in the Heavenly Father's kingdom. Let's bring them along with us to Heavenly Father's kingdom after we leave this earth. Brothers and sisters, I love you. I respect you. I care for you and your families. That's why we've given you the information we shared with you tonight. Please share this far and wide with your family, your extended family, your friends, your neighbors, your social media contacts, and also the people you work with. Please share it far and wide. We need as many people to come with us as possible. Yes, we want to expand our membership base here. So please share it. Please subscribe to our channel. If you're not subscribed already, please subscribe. And also to hit that little bell icon next to our membership button, but hit that bell icon. And when that icon comes up, it'll come up with a drop-down menu of 3 items. Click on the word ALL. That way you'll get notified when we come on the air. Okay? One more thing. Folks, please pray for those families that lost their fathers in last night's shooting north of Salt Lake City. Fathers that had children. Pray for them. Pray for that poor dog that got hit by gunfire, that's suffering in that hospital almost by himself. I'm sure that dog misses its handler and his family. Pray for that dog as well. Pray for everyone. Pray that you might be able to find someone to share this channel with and get them to subscribe to this channel as well. Don't do it for me, but do it for yourself. The more people we have here, the better, because then our message will go out to even more people. That's why we do this channel. May God bless you. May God be with you this day and always. Remember this, I love you very much, and God loves you. God be with you until we meet again.